Okay, welcome back. Just winding down the semester here. We're going to do one more of these. This is the last one we'll do now. This pretty much depends on your being well aware of the principal parts of pretty much all the verbs on the sheet that I've given you, as well as what he's given in the book. And I think there should be almost a pretty complete overlap with that. Okay, if you don't know the principal parts, you're going to find yourself more or less out to sea in this this section. So please, before you go through these with me or take a crack at these yourself, you really would do well to spend some time going over the principal parts of these. All of these are very, very common verbs. They come up an awful lot in the Bible and will as well in the homework. So. Don't come into this unprepared. Otherwise, I think you're gonna find yourself, having to look up every single word, and that's really not the point of this. The point of this is really to take what you already should have absorbed just through your own recitals and trying to put it to good use through parsing. Okay. So I don't think you should sail through these necessarily, but I think you should have a good handle on what we're doing. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to parse these. And again, some of these, really only the way you could know is just by having memorized the principal parts. And an example, this one would be the first one. Okay, Eleuthermin. You would know this one, well, if you know your principal parts, yes, and also from the lu prefix. This is from luo. Okay, It's from luo, okay? But what do we know about it? Okay, eleuthamen. Okay, so first of all, you've got that theta eta ending there with the augment. Okay, that suggests aorist passive. Okay. Okay, aorist passive. Okay, in this case, what? First singular, first plural. First plural rather, right? Because of the emin ending. All right. So first plural, aorist passive, indicative. Okay. The first few are going to be pretty straightforward. Let me. Okay. Get rid of the lines for you there. Okay. Luthesamatha. Well, again, you've got your lu prefix. The first thing is to identify what verb it's from. Okay. In this case, it's your paradigm verb luos. That should be pretty easy. Notice also the theta eta, that you only see that from what? From the sixth principal part. Okay, and there's only two forms we get from that. Okay, namely what? The aorist passive, which we got here, and what's the other one? The future passive, which is what this is. Okay, notice with the future passive, there's no temporal augment. Okay, that's just a little feature that you have to get used to. Okay, but the metha ending tells what? Okay, that's going to be what? First plural again. So first, in this case, future passive indicative. Okay, what do these both mean? Well, eleuthamen means what? We were loosed, or we were freed. Okay, luthesamatha would mean something like what? We will be freed. We will be loosed. Okay, all right. So do a few more of these here. Eleuthesan. Well, once again, you should recognize this is from luo because of the stem. You got the theta eta ending. Okay, you should think, okay, this is from my sixth principal part. This has got to be either an aorist passive or a future passive. And I notice here that it's got the augment and the sa ending here. That right away tells me it's an aorist passive. Okay, in this case, with this ending here, it's going to be what? Third plural. Okay, so third plural, aorist passive, indicative. Okay, third plural, aorist passive, indicative. Okay, one more. Luthese. Okay, first of all, the theta eta ending here, it's from luo, and you have a theta eta stem here. That suggests what? From your sixth principal part, I notice there's no epsilon here, as there would be if it were an aorist, therefore it can only be a future passive. Okay, and in this case, if you know your paradigms well, you'll know it's a second singular, future passive. Yeah, it's indicative. Okay? All right, now those are actually fairly straightforward, and one of the reasons they're fairly straightforward is that if you know your paradigms, your principal parts, it's really impossible to confuse those with anything else. So they don't look like anything else in the, the basic forms that a verb like luo could take. Okay. All right, so now we're going to take a look at some different verbs here, ones that are actually more common than luo, and in some sense more important because they're more common. Let's look at this one, apokrithe. Apokrithe. Now, if you know your principal parts, this shouldn't be too terribly difficult, okay, to realize that this comes from what? This comes from apokrinomai, okay, which is what? That's your verb for answer, okay, or reply. There's an awful lot of that in the Bible. Every time there's a conversation, usually someone says something, someone answers. So, apokrinomai. And where would you see apokrithe? Apokrithe. Okay, that's again from your sixth principal part. Okay, so apokrithe, apokrithane, okay, would be first singular. Apokrithes, apokrithe, apokrithamen, apokrithete, apokrithen. Okay, so, or thesan, I'm sorry. So this is going to be what? This is the third singular. Okay, aorist. Now, how do we parse this? It's a passive, but this is one of those passives that are a little bit quirky in the language. You see these come up quite a bit with deponent verbs like apokrinomai that are common, and this is passive in form, okay, strictly passive in form, but really basically middle in sense. This means he answered. It doesn't mean he was answered, okay? He answered. This is actually the form that is by far and away the most commonly used one in the New Testament. In fact, I think this is used almost 200 times. Now, once in a while, you'll see this form as well. And what form is this? This is from the same verb, as you hopefully can recognize just by looking at it. Okay, apokrinata, apokrinata. Now notice, just playing around with this here, when you're parsing these, sometimes it's helpful to pull the prefix off, okay, and just look at akrinata, akrinata. Okay, akrinata is what? Well, you see the augment here, okay, you see the secondary ending, all right, and we know what? Krino, krinoo, ekrina. Ekrina is your aorist for that particular verb, okay, and this actually without the apo, this would mean what? This would mean he judged, okay, but in fact, combining them doesn't change the morphology at all, okay, it just, just sort of mentally filter out the apo when you're parsing, but you still see here that this is an aorist, okay, and you know that from your principal parts. Furthermore, you know what? Not only is it an aorist, but menso to, it's a third singular aorist. So third, darn it, sorry about that, we're back. Third singular aorist. Okay, third singular aorist middle. Okay, now this also means he answered. For some reason in the language, we rarely ever see this form. I think this form only occurs about 15, 18 times in the New Testament. This one occurs well over 100 times. Okay, but this is really the number 6 is really the form we would expect. Okay, if we were sort of intuiting what the language should be just based on the grammar. But this is not the form we usually, in fact, get. All right, but hopefully you at least see the parsing here, right? You see that you have the augment here. Now, granted, there's no sigma, but this particular verb doesn't have a sigma in the third principal part. Okay, and that's because we'll learn later. It's because it's a liquid stem. Okay, but nonetheless, it is an aorist. Okay. All right, let's take a look at another one here. Egenethe. Egenethe. Now, here's the thing about this one. Okay, this is another very common verb. Okay, it comes from ginomai. Okay, and the only way you would know this really is by knowing your principal parts really well. Okay, ginomai. Okay, which is what? That's a very common verb meaning to be or to become, to happen, to occur. Okay, has a wide variety of uses here. Now, what are the principal parts of genomai? Genomai, genesamai, agenomen, gegona, gegenomai, agenathen. Agenathen. Okay, this is your sixth principal part from genomai. Okay, agenathen. All right, and so this is agenathen, agenathes, agenathes. So here you see the third singular. This is going to be your third singular. Aorist, passive, indicative. Okay, but again, much like apokrithe, what we saw up here, this one too is one of these passive deponent ones. Okay, in other words, this is really basically used in an active way. You can't really be or become in the passive. Okay, so very frequently you don't see as many of these as you do apokrithe, but you do see them. Okay, egenethe. Okay, so that would just mean he was, or it happened, or something like that. You do see the form. Okay, and again, although it's passive in form, you have to make it basically middle in your translation. Okay, you can't make it passive. It's one of those deponent ones that basically crowds out the sixth principal part, which is supposed to be strictly passive, and in fact is strictly passive for almost every verb except these special verbs that are common and deponent. Okay, that they frequently will show up as aorist passives when they really are active in sense. Okay, all right. Okay, so a blathemen. Okay, again, you're not going to have much of a hope with this one until you take a moment to study your principal parts. Okay, if you study your principal parts, you will know that this actually comes from what? What verb does this actually come from? It's from balo. Okay, the word meaning to throw or to cast, and you get a lot of compounds from that. The ekbalo. Ekbalo means to cast out. Okay, or in the sense of exercise or drive out. Okay, so that's what it comes from. Now, at blathemen, and once you see what it comes from here, you can see, well, you got the theta eta, you get the augment. Aha, this is an aorist passive, and indeed it is. And the men here should also tip you off that it's a first person plural. Okay, so just right, first plural, aorist, middle, not middle, passive, indicative. Okay, what would this mean? It means we were cast out. At blathemen. Okay, and again, how do you know it's from balo? Just by knowing your principal parts. Okay, that's really the only way you can know. I don't know any way to start with this and sort of reason your way back into seeing balo from that. Okay, this is just something that has to sink in from principal part recital, going over again and again. Okay, all right. Beblakemen. What form is that? Well, first of all, what's it from? Okay, you've got the same Blake here, and there's a reduplication, but what's it from? What verb is it from, first of all? Once again, this is from balo. Okay, balo, baloo, ebalon. Okay, second aorist. Bebleka, which is what this is from. Okay, beblamai eblathen. Okay, so again, this is another form from balo. He cast out. Notice you see a reduplication here, and you see a kappa that screams what? Perfect. Perfect is the only one that does that. So again, and the amen here suggests what? Again, another first plural. Okay, so first first plural, perfect, active, indicative. Okay, meaning what? We have thrown, we have cast. Okay, alrighty. Anakin. Okay, this is another one that's totally irregular. Okay, you could only know this one, you have no chance of knowing this one if you don't know your principal parts. And unfortunately, this is a very common verb. So here, this is one that has to be memorized. Okay, what does this actually come from? Well, again, knowing your principal parts, you will know that it comes from pharaoh. Pharaoh, which is the word to carry or to bear. Okay, actually a pretty common word. Okay, one that in various forms occurs an awful lot in straight form and in compound. There's an awful lot of times this verb occurs in compound. Okay, to prosphero means to offer, for instance. Okay, but at any rate, eniken is what? This is simply your aorist form. Okay, what are the principal parts of pharaoh? Pharaoh, oiso, enika, anenoka, anenigmai, enigthen. I'm sorry. Okay, so again, you would only know that by study, okay, and through memorization. This was one of the ones that's, there is no real paradigm that will help you with this. So if you recognize it right away, you can see, first of all, I know it's an aorist just because I know my principal parts, even though it's irregular, and I see the ken ending here. That's a telltale sign of a third singular. So here we go, third singular, aorist, active, indicative. Okay. All right. Another one here. This is a gimme if you know your principal parts, and virtually impossible if you don't. Okay. Eleluthamen. Eleluthamen. Where do you see eleluthamen? Well, if you kind of can see, it comes from elelutha. All right. And if you know your principal parts, you know elelutha is the fourth principal part of what? Oh, the common verb erkamai, which means to go. Okay, or to come in some cases. The principal parts of erkamai, elusamai, elthon, which is the commonest one, that's the aorist, and elelutha. So elelutha is your fourth principal part, so this is your perfect. Okay, and the amen ending, hopefully we realize by now this is a first plural, telltale. So first plural, perfect, active, indicative. Okay, we have come. Okay, we have come. All right, very good. Aiden, aiden. This is another really common verb. Okay, and once again, you have no shot at it unless you know your principal parts. What does it come from? Well, hopefully some of you will know or remember that it comes from, oops, let's just do this. There we go. Horao, the verb meaning to see. Okay, principal parts of horao, opsamai, adon. That kind of looks like aden, doesn't it? Okay, and then what? Heorica, heoramai, and ophthane. Okay, you've got to memorize that one. That's an irregular one. Okay, so aden here comes from horao. It means to see. Okay, it's adon. This is actually a second aorist. All right, so you can see then the aden, just on the analogy of ella ben. Okay, is going to be what? Third singular, aorist, active, indicative. Okay, third singular, aorist, active, indicative. Okay, now this is again a related one. This also comes from horao. Okay, once again, horao, opsamai, adon, heorica. Principal part 4, heorica, heoramai, or omai, and ophthane. Okay, so again, principal part number 4 is a perfect, and you like the kappa here and the alpha, that sort of looks like it should be a perfect, and it is. Okay, so second, plural, perfect, active, indicative. Okay, from horao, to see. So this would mean what? You all have seen. You all have seen. Okay. All right, very good. Let's do a couple more, and then we'll break. Okay, agenita. Again, this is a little bit of a tricky one here. You need to know your principal parts for this one as well, but this is an incredibly common form. You probably see this form, especially in the Old Testament, but a lot of times in the New Testament as well. They love this form. Okay, and one of the reasons is that it's the temporal marker. So it basically is to happen. So when you say something happened, kai agenita, Luke loves it especially when it came to pass that the shepherds showed up, and or the angel appeared to the shepherds. Okay, so kai agenita day. He loves that expression. So again, agenita comes from what? Well, this is from, and again, you got to know your principal parts to get this. It's from genomai. Okay, the verb meaning to be, to become, to happen, that sort of thing. Principal parts of genomai, you've got to know these. Genomai, genesamai, egenomen. Okay, egenomen. So this is where this comes from. Okay, egenomen. Okay, egenomen. Okay, genomai, genesamai, egenomen, gegona, gegenomai, egenethen. Egenethen we had earlier up here in number 7. Okay, that was your aorist passive. Same verb, okay, different form. Okay, this is going to be from the third principal part here. This is your aorist. Okay, so remember, men, so to, metaso onto. This is going to be, the men would be your first singular, but the to is going to be what? The third singular. So let's write it out here. Third singular. Aorist, but what form? It's middle indicative. Middle. How do you know it's middle? Well, first of all, I know because this verb never ever appears in the active. It's always a deponent verb. Every single form in this is non-active. Okay, so it can't be active. But I also know from the ending. Okay, being a second aorist verb like this one is, we would have expected a different form for that. We would have expected like againin or something like that, which what we don't have. Okay, so good. All right, let's do this one here. Okay, gegonen. Gegonen. Once again, this is from our friend genomai, the very common verb meaning to be, to become, to happen, to occur. Okay, genomai, genesamai, egenomen. That's where we got this form from. Gegona. Okay, gegona. That's our fourth principal part of genomai. So gegona. All right, and that's where this is derived from, as you can guess. Okay, gegona, gegenemai, egenethen. Egenethen was this form here. Okay, so this is now the fourth principal part here. Okay, gegona, and notice gegona, gegonas, gegonen. Okay, the N there suggests what? This is a perfect. Okay, not only a perfect, but a third singular. So third singular, perfect, active, not active, active, indicative. Did I say that there were no active forms? There are in the perfect. Okay, that's the only place you really see them. All right. So let's see here. Let's take a little bit of a break, and we'll come back and finish these out. Okay, we're back. Let's wrap these up here. Apon. Apon is again a straight principal part word. Okay, it's a straight principal part word. You know, or should know, that it comes from Lego, the incredibly common word meaning to speak. Okay, principal parts of Lego. Lego, eroo, apon, which is what this is. Okay, apon, erika, erimai, erethane. Okay, Lego, arrow, apon, erika, erimai, erethane. This is another one that has to be memorized. Okay, this is again a second aorist form. Okay, and this one here is going to, so it's going to be second aorist. Okay, and what will this be? It'd be first, oops, singular, second aorist, active, indicative. Okay, anything else it could be? Yes, it could also be a third plural, right? Remember, the second aorist has that little feature where the first singular and the third plural are identical. Okay, all right. Erekamen. Okay, again, this one also comes from Lego. Okay, principal parts of Lego. Once again, Lego, eroo, apon, erika. This comes from erika. See it here, erika. And again, you have no hope of knowing this unless you know your principal parts well. Okay, Erica, Erimai, Erathane. Okay, bear that form in the back of your mind because we're going to meet that in a second here. But Erachamen again, so Erachamen has got to be a perfect. But notice the amen ending suggests what? First plural, perfect, active, indicative. Okay? First plural, perfect, active, indicative. So apon would mean what? I said. Okay? Erachamen would mean what? We have said. Okay? We have said that we don't like you. We have said that you are a god. We have said that whatever. Okay? So, Erathe, again, this is another version of Lego. Lego, Ero, Apon, which was here, Erica, which is principal part 4, Erimai, and Erathane. Erathane. So this is going to be your sixth principal part. Okay? Erathane, Erathase, Erathe, so it's going to be third singular. Aorist, passive, indicative. Meaning what? It was said. Okay, it was said. It has been said, something like that. Okay, so again, you would not know that though if you didn't know your principal part well. Okay, that's the only hope you have to get that one right. Okay, all right, let's scroll down just a bit here. Okay, apostale, apostale. This is a tricky one. Okay, apostale. All right, now, first of all, sometimes it's helpful to peel back the pronoun here and just say astale, okay, from stello. Stello, principal parts were stello, stelloo, stela, estela, estalca, estalane, estalane. Okay, so this is from your sixth principal part, but from what verb? Well, from stello, but really here with the apo, it's it's apostello. Okay, apostello, which means what? Means apostle, means to send someone, okay? So apostolane is going to be your sixth principal part, so this is going to be what? This is going to be a third singular, aorist, passive, indicative, meaning what? He was sent. He was sent, or it was sent, or she was sent. Okay? So, again, this is a tricky one, primarily because unlike this principal part, this sixth principal part, unlike most of them, this doesn't end in a theta. There's no theta. There's instead this, it's apostolane. Okay? You get something like that though. Okay, that don't fit into the pattern. You deal with it. Okay? Now, what's this one? Apostolacetai. Okay, well, first of all, if you can see clearly in this, forget the apo for a second, this is kind of the same thing, isn't it? Look at estalane here and stalacetai here. What's the difference? Well, this has the epsilon. This lacks the epsilon. This has that acetai ending. Okay, this is the one other thing that can come from that sixth principal part, namely what? You guessed it, the future passive. Okay, my sai tai, so it's third singular. Future passive indicative. Okay, future passive. What would it mean? It would mean he will be sent. He will be dispatched. Okay, and again, make no mistake that this is from apostello. Okay, that's from apostello. Apostello, apostoloo, apostola, apostolka, apostolmai, apostolane. Okay, notice in principal parts 3, 4, 5, and 6, we elide the apo and stick the epsilon in there. Okay, remember, we don't do anything to the apo except hack off the final vowel and stick in the temporal augment here. Okay, so basically the apo just kind of comes along for the ride. We don't change it at all though. Okay, when we form these. All right, elthen, very, very common verb again. Elthen, This you have no hope of knowing unless you know your principal parts, but again, you're going to see this so many times that you will can't help but know this, soon if you don't know it already. Okay, this comes again from what? Erkamai. Erkamai, the verb meaning to go, to come. Erkamai, el-usamai, elthon, alelutha. Okay, so elthon would be your third principal part. It's a second aorist, but notice it has this N ending here, and that's a telltale sign, just like elaben, that you're dealing with what? Elaben, dealing with a third singular aorist active indicative. Okay, that's a very, very common word. There's a lot of he went, he came. So in other words, you see that verb a lot, either by itself or in compound. Okay? Alright, I thought I'd give you this one here as well. El-usatai, this comes from the same root word erkamai. Erkamai, el-usamai. Okay, this is like el-usamai, except it's el-usatai, elthon, alelutha. So, again, el-usatai, third singular. Okay. Okay, future, middle. Alright, why middle? Well, it's got the middle ending here, right? Okay. Tethnekon. Tethnekon. Well, again, you have to know your principal parts to know this one as well. This one's a little bit tricky. If you don't, in fact, it's impossible if you don't know your principal parts. But it comes from what? What does it come from, first of all? Do you remember? Apothnesko. Apothnesko, which is what? That's the verb to die. Okay, apothnesko. Apothnesko would mean I am dying. So principal parts of apothnesko, apothnoo, apethanon is actually a second aorist, and tethneka. Okay, don't ask me why you don't see the apo in the fourth principal part, you just don't. Okay, so tethneka, this is the fourth principal part here, and you see the on ending suggests what? Third plural. Third plural, what? Perfect, active, indicative. Okay, now don't worry if this seems like your head spinning at this point, okay? Many of these forms are relatively new. Okay, we've just had these now. I'm just kind of drilling you on this. So just keep in mind that you're going to have time to learn all this. Okay, this will sink in if you persevere. Soon enough. Okay, I think you'll find, in fact, by the time we're at the second semester, a lot of this will be old hat. Most of these will be really, really easy. Okay, but I'm teaching you this as much as anything to get you to see the importance of principal parts. Okay, to sort of connect the whole verbal system at once in your mind, so that you can hopefully sail through these. Okay, agropsen. Do you see what that's from? Okay, do you recognize that is from grapho, the word to write? What form would that be? Agropsen, well look, it's got an augment here. Instead of the phi here, we have a psi. Looks like aorist to me. Okay, looks like aorist. And of course, instead of the sigma and the phi sort of make a psi when you put them together. Okay, so this is going to be what? This is going to be, and notice again, ending here. So what do we have here? Third singular aorist active indicative. Third singular aorist active indicative is by far the most common form of verb in the New Testament. Okay, but this is from grapho. What's the principal parts of grapho? Grapho, gropso, agropsa. Okay, this comes from agropsa. Gropsa, gropsas, agropsin, agropsamen, agropsite, agropson. Okay. All right. Gegrapha, gegramai, agrophthane. Okay. All right. Now, gegraptai. Well, if you listen to that little recital there, gegraptai sounds a lot like what? Gegramai, which is what? That's your fifth principal part. Okay. Gegramai. So, grapho, gropso, agropsa, gegrapha, gegramai, agrophthane. Okay. But gegraptai would be what? Well, instead of my, it's psi, it's tai, so my psi tai, so it's a third singular, what? Fifth principal part, so it's perfect, middle, or passive. Okay, indicative. Okay, you see that word a lot in the Bible. Actually, you know what it means? It means it is written. Okay, or it has been written technically, but really it is written. Okay, it is written is the best way of saying it because it really suggests the present state of force of the words. Okay, it's sort of the marker for a biblical citation. Gegraptai. Paul uses it a lot. So do the other New Testament writers. Okay, so gegraptai comes from the fifth principal part of grapho. Okay, which means to write. All right, so third singular, perfect, middle, or passive indicative. Okay, ophthe. This is again one we've seen, but in other forms, but we probably need to remind ourselves. Ophthe comes from what? Comes from horao. Horao, the word meaning to see. Principal parts are horao. Are horao, opsamai, adon, heoraka, heoramai, finally ophthain. Ophthain. Okay, totally irregular. You got to memorize that one. Okay, ophthain. So again, ophthain, ophthes, ophthe. So what do we have instead? We have a third singular, aorist, passive, indicative. Now, how do we translate that? That's kind of an interesting one. You might be tempted to say, since horao means see, that this would mean third singular aorist passive, so it means he was seen. And you could translate it that way, but more often than not, in the Bible, it's best translated as he appeared. Okay, he appeared. That's kind of how it's used in Koine. So you would probably turn that around and give it an active sense. Okay, even though strictly speaking it means he was seen. Okay, but really it's best understood as he appeared. Okay. All right, a few more, then we'll be done with these. All right, so agero. Agero, what form is that one? Agero, that means to lift or to raise up. Okay, and that's actually your first principal part there. Okay, so that's an easy one. First principal part is simply what? That's simply first singular, present, active, indicative. Okay, I am lifting, I am raising. Okay. So, given that, agerthe should be pretty straightforward. Agerthe should be pretty straightforward. Agerthe is from what? From agero, to raise up. Notice the theta eta here, so that should tip off your mind that this is a third singular aorist passive. Okay. When do you see that in the Bible? Well, he was raised up. He was raised. Okay, agerthe. You see that a lot. Speaking of Jesus, okay, he was raised. Okay, so principal parts of agero are agero, ageroo, agera, agegermai, and agerthane. Okay, there is no principal part 4 for that one. Okay, couple more. Ekeruxen, ekeruxen. Okay, again, you got to know your principal parts for this, but here I think you should be able to smoke it out if you know your vocab well. Keru, where do you see that? Okay, well, that's from this. It's from keruso, the word meaning to announce or to proclaim. Okay, where we get the word kerugma from, kerygma, or proclamation, gospel. Okay, so keruxen, what do we have here then? Well, keruso, keruxo, ekeruxen. Notice here you've got the augment and you've got the kasai here, which implies the addition of a sigma, meaning what? So in the n ending, so third singular, aorist, active, indicative. Third singular, aorist, active, indicative. Okay, keruso, keruxo, ekeruxa, kekerug, kekeruga, kekerugmai, ekerugthen. Ah, I gave that one away. Ekerugthen. Where do you see that? That's just your sixth principal part of keruso. Okay, your sixth principal part is going to be therefore your first singular. Darn it. Aorist, passive, indicative. Okay? Fantastic. Okay, that was pretty tough. Maybe it'll give you an idea of, hopefully will scare you straight into getting your principal parts here. I mean, once you know your principal parts, though, you'll be able to sail right through these, because you'll see that these words come up an awful lot. You'll see these an awful lot in the sentences ahead. Okay, so but don't be discouraged if it seems like your head's spinning a little bit. You will get this, but I want you to know your principal parts, though. Okay, so learn them. All right, I will see you very soon, probably in the homework or the final exam. So good luck.